Hi there, and welcome back to In the Kitchen with Joel. Throughout these videos, there's going to be a number of videos that really talk to entertaining, putting together a charcuterie tray, a cheese board, and every now and again I'll let you know when I'm making something that will fit with that genre. And today is one of those days. Actually, it'll be the first one that I'm doing because we've got some guests coming over tomorrow, and they put in a request for my maple bourbon bacon. So that's what we're going to start with on our entertaining videos. And like I said, maple bourbon bacon is what we're making today. Very simple, just a couple of ingredients. We've got bacon, we've got bourbon, and I use Bourbon bourbon. It's a reasonably priced bourbon. It's a decent quality bourbon. Don't go using your best bourbon for this. It's not necessary. Maple syrup and some brown sugar. And all we do is pop it into a container. You can use a plastic bag if you prefer. It's a little harder to work with. Pop the bacon in, put on the ingredients, and let it sit overnight if you've got the time. Listen, if you don't have the time, don't let it marinate for overnight. I'm going to do it because I have the time and I know I'm making this tomorrow. But if this was entertaining day today and I needed to get this together and somebody said, I want your bacon, all I have to do is defrost some bacon from the freezer, put this together, and it'll be pretty good. Not quite as good as if it's soaked overnight and brought all those flavors into the bacon, but still pretty damn good. So we take our bacon and we pop it into our container. Just going to wash my hands. And then we just pop on the ingredients. There's really not a whole lot of measuring, just pretty much eyeballing it. I would say this is 1 pack of bacon, so it's about 10-12 pieces. So versus a large pack like that, it's about half that size. And I'm going to put what amounts to, I'm going to say about 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and bourbon, maybe less than that, hard to tell. And brown sugar, I'm going to sprinkle this brown sugar in here. Lots of brown sugar in here as well. And it goes. And I forgot to mention pepper, so I just ground up some pepper, and I'm going to pop that in here as well. Now, everything's sitting here on top, and so I'm going to work it in. I'm going to lift my pieces of bacon up and just swoosh it around and get everything a little bit coated. And then the trick is to leave your bacon as flat as you can in your container. This is a little bit tricky. The other way to do this, if you're doing it same day, is just to put it right out on the cookie sheet and then pour the ingredients, like drizzle the ingredients over top, and that will work as well. It just won't have the benefit of having soaked overnight, which does make it a little bit more flavorful, and that's why I'm doing it this way. So that's all there is to this part of the process. So I'm going to go wash my hands. I'm going to pop this in the fridge, and then I'm going to come back and show you how it goes into the oven. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And I have taken the bacon that's been marinating overnight out of the fridge, and now we're going to put it on parchment paper. By the way, you can now get parchment paper that actually fits your cookie sheets. Look for it in the grocery store if you haven't already found it. So we're just going to place each piece on the parchment paper. Don't overlap them. If you can avoid it. If you can't, you might have to use a second sheet. Place the bacon on as flat as possible. Now, a couple things about the bacon. You can also do this with a thick cut bacon if you like it that way. Works out just as well. In fact, I think I'll do that next time. Also, in the summertime, if you are using thick cut bacon, you can do this first process and then cook it instead of in the oven. Just throw it right on the barbecue. But if you're putting it on the barbecue, you've got to watch it. Don't step away for very long because this will catch fire. If you're doing it on the barbecue, don't do it on a high heat, do it on a medium heat. And like I said, stick around and watch it. And you can pour a little bit more of this sauce on each of the pieces. The oven is set at 400 degrees, and you're going to put it in the oven for, it's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, but I like to set the timer on the oven at 10 minutes because everyone's oven is a little different, and depending on where you put it in the oven, I like to put it in the middle rack, but each rack will heat differently. If you're doing 2 sheets, they're going to cook at different rates. So if you're doing 2 sheets worth, one in the middle, one on the lower, start watching your bacon at about the 10-minute mark, either with your light or open up the oven and have a look. So in they go. As I said, they're going to stay in for 10 minutes. Set the timer. They're going to stay in for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to check it. And then I'm going to check it every minute or 2 after that if they're not done at that point. And then you can tell when they're done because it's done just like regular bacon. And the reason why I use parchment is I have found that over the years, frying on a frying pan or even doing it in the barbecue or any other method doesn't seem to be as efficient as doing it in the oven this way. And that's how I do all my bacon, whether it's maple bourbon bacon or just regular bacon, in the oven on a parchment paper. Cleans up really easily and cooks nice and evenly. Okay, they're all ready to come out. And that's how you want them to look. Nice and darkened. They look a little crispy. They're going to be a little limp right now until you put them on the paper towel and dry them out. But that's how you want them. Now, it took about 18 minutes for these to cook. So I started checking at the 10-minute mark, and then I just kept adding time to the timer. But it's a 400-degree oven at it was about 18 minutes in total. But start checking at 10 minutes when you do yours, especially the first couple times you do it. Now, notice how the parchment paper has captured all that grease that you don't have to clean off of your pan. So don't do this on your pan unless you're prepared to ruin one and toss it out or spend the day cleaning it. Get yourself some parchment paper if you don't already have it, and or do it on the barbecue. Now, these pieces were a little bit thinner. I don't know if you remember when I put them on. They were pretty long, and they got some really great shrinkage. The other terrific thing about doing this bacon, especially if you're putting it out on a charcuterie board or cheese board later in the day, is this should be done in advance, because what you want is for these the bacon to dry out. If you try serving it right away, they're going to be limp and hard to eat, and they're going to be messy. These make a great snack once they've been dried. Picture sort of like the jerky that you would see in the grocery store. This isn't that, but it's dried out like that, and it's a cured meat, so it's kind of similar. So what you want to do is let this sit for a couple of minutes, like I'm going to do, and then put it on your paper towel and just let it sit there. And it can sit there for hours if you like, or let it sit there for half an hour, and then it'll be ready to plate. So you can do this in the morning, like I'm doing today, in the morning, in order to serve it later on this afternoon, and that's kind of the perfect timing. Don't put it in the fridge. The little bits of fat on it will start to congeal, and that's not going to look pretty. So what you want to do is leave this out room temperature. But like I said, paper towel first, dry it out, and then if you like, you can serve it in whole pieces, or if you want, you can cut them in half and just stack them up on your charcuterie board. It makes a great treat, a total crowd pleaser. People will love this. So I've taken the bacon, I put it on a plate after it sat on the paper towel for half an hour or so, and it gets a little bit firmer. And then we just stack them like so. A lot of times I'll cut these in half because a lot of people just don't want a whole piece at one time. Go ahead and do that too. You can see how that makes a beautiful addition to your tray. It's that easy. Enjoy.